Worker! Worker! People! People! The people united will never be defeated! 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 I say power, you say worker, power! Worker! Power! Worker! I say worker, you say power, worker! Power! Worker! Power! Worker! Power! Worker! Power! Woo!
¡El pueblo unido!
¡Jamás será vencido!
¡El pueblo unido!
¡Jamás será vencido!
¡No somos uno!
¡No somos 100!
¡Somos millones!
¡Cuenta con 10!
¡Aquí estamos!
¡Y no nos vamos!
¡Aquí estamos!
¡Y no nos vamos!
¡Y si nos echan!
¡No regresamos!
¡Bravo!
¡Tiene frío! ¡Tiene frío!
Excuse me, can I get one with before everyone steps up cake?
What do we want? Unemployment Bridge Program. What do we want? Unemployment Bridge Program. When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want? Unemployment Bridge Program. When do we want it?
Now!
Thank you everyone for coming today. I'm going to give a big shout out to all the organizations first. Laborers Local 79. RAP releasing aging people in prisons. National Writers Union. Freelance Solidarity Project. NYCC. Make the Road New York. Laundry Workers Center. Shahaji Sisters.
Okay. ¿Qué queremos? Derecho al desempleo. ¿Qué queremos?
¡Derecho al desempleo!
¿Cuándo lo queremos?
¡Ahora!
¿Cuándo lo queremos?
¿Y cómo? Luchando, creando poder popular. Luchando, creando poder popular.
Le vamos a dar la bienvenida a las organizaciones que nos acompañan hoy. El Centro del Inmigrante, Coalición for Immigrant Freedom, Sunnyside Community Center, la Red de Pueblos, Street Vendor, Project Engelon y Mixteca.
Okay, Carroll Gardens Nanny Association, Drum, Gentry's Rising Up and Moving, Cabrini Immigrant Services, Equality New York, Movement for Justice in El Barrio, and Chinese American Planning Council. Almost 4 years ago, amid a global pandemic and economic shutdown, the Fund Excluded Workers Coalition formed after seeing the gaps and exclusions in New York State's social safety net. Thousands of workers from Brooklyn to Rochester remained excluded from unemployment.
Antes de comenzar, vamos a darle la bienvenida a nuestra senadora Jessica Ramos. Un fuerte aplauso, por favor. A nuestra asambleísta Karim Reyes, Old Taylor y nuestra asambleísta Marcela Mitañez. Williams. Hace casi 4 años, en medio de una pandemia mundial y un paro económico, se formó la coalición de trabajadores del Fondo Excluidos por la necesidad de cerrar los huecos en nuestra red de seguridad. Miles de trabajadores desde Brooklyn hasta Rochester seguían excluidos en el desempleo.
4 years later, and these same workers remain excluded. We're talking about freelancers, cash earners, immigrant workers, and recently decarcerated folks. They all contribute to our economy, yet no social safety net to fall back on when they lose their job. Is that fair?
No. 4 años después, esos mismos trabajadores siguen excluidos, trabajadores autónomos, trabajadores inmigrantes, personas recientemente liberados de prisión. Todos contribuyen a nuestra economía y sin embargo, ¿qué tienen? No tienen una red de seguridad a la que pueden depender si pierden su empleo. ¿Es eso justo? No. ¿Es eso justo?
No. That's why our coalition is united today to say New York State must pass the Unemployment Bridge Program. For a 21st century workforce, we need a 21st century safety net. Nearly a dozen states are in the same fight. Some have already passed similar programs. It's clear that New York State can lead the way to improve unemployment insurance for all its residents and spark a national movement again to push change at the federal level. So what do we want? Unemployment Bridge Program. When do we want it?
Now!
Por eso nuestra coalición está unida para decir, el Estado de Nueva York debe aprobar un programa de puente de desempleo. Para tener una mano de obra del siglo XXI, necesitamos una red de seguridad del siglo XXI. Casi una docena de estados están en una misma lucha. Algunos ya la aprobaron. Eso quiere decir que es posible. Está claro que el Estado de Nueva York puede liderar el camino para mejorar el desempleo para todos sus residentes y provocar un movimiento nacional de nuevo para impulsar un cambio a nivel federal.
We also have a way to pay for unemployment bridge program, and it's by holding big tech accountable. The reality is that big tech corporations in our state have made a huge profit off the backs of our black and brown working class communities by underpaying workers, fueling gentrification, and refusing to pay their fair share. It's time to tax big tech to invest in the working people. ¿Se puede?
¡Sí se puede!
¿Se puede?
¡Sí se puede!
También tenemos una forma de pagar por el Unemployment Bridge Program y es realizado por las grandes tecnologías. La realidad es que las grandes corporaciones tecnológicas de nuestro estado han tenido enormes beneficios a costa de nosotros. Nuestras comunidades obreras negras, marrones, han pagado mal a los trabajadores, fomentando el aburguesamiento y negándose a pagar lo que les corresponde. Ahora es hora de poner impuestos a las grandes corporaciones para que inviertan en sus trabajadores. ¿Se puede?
¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede!
We have an opportunity to invest into the future of our state by ensuring that all workers can live and work with dignity, including our newest New Yorkers. Our labor is what keeps the state running, and it's time for the legislature to show that they have our back. So pass the Unemployment Bridge Program.
Tenemos la oportunidad de invertir en el futuro de nuestro estado, garantizando que todos los trabajadores puedan vivir y trabajar con dignidad, incluso los neoyorquinos recién llegados. Nuestro trabajo es lo que hace que el estado funcione y es hora que la legislatura demuestre que nos cubre las espaldas. Aprueben el programa Puente de Desempleo. Excluidos, nunca más. ¿Excluidos?
¡Nunca más!
¿Excluidos?
¡Nunca más!
When I say excluded, you say no more. Excluded.
¡No more!
Excluded.
¡No more!
Let's hear it for our prime sponsor and champion of the Unemployment Bridge Program in the Senate, Senator Jessica Ramos.
All right, ¿cómo está mi gente? Buenos días, good morning, Shubo Shakal. So glad that we are out here at City Hall today getting ready for Albany's next legislative session. We are here to announce one of the most important bills that we could pass this session in 2024 in order to help our poorest New Yorkers, our most vulnerable New Yorkers, our hardest working New Yorkers who right now do not have a social safety net to support them when they lose their job, when they cannot find work. Today, our economy is working very differently than it used to. We have a lot of gig workers, we have a lot of freelancers, we have a lot of domestic workers and street vendors, people who cannot qualify for traditional unemployment insurance. And that is why in the face of the pandemic just a few years ago, we were able to champion the Excluded Workers Fund, which was a tremendous success in our state. It pumped money into every corner of New York State, letting people take advantage of a total of $2.1 billion for the first time in the history of this country to ensure that New Yorkers were not left out, to make sure they had some economic relief. Because at the end of the day, whether you are documented, whether you are undocumented, whether you were born in New York, in Bangladesh, or Ohio, you work for a living. You work for a living, and you deserve for someone to have your back when you can't find work. It doesn't matter if you did time. We want to help you because all workers have to pay rent. All workers have to put food on the table. All workers have to go to the doctor and pay their medical bills and buy medicine and buy school supplies for their children and gifts for their kids now that the holidays are coming. Every New Yorker deserves to have a safety net to fall back on. So the Unemployment Bridge program is going to be this bill that will completely transform the face of unemployment insurance in New York State once and for all. It should only take one pandemic, one catastrophe, to teach us the lesson that we need to know so that we are not leaving any New Yorker behind. And that's why I'm so proud to see everyone here from RAP to Make the Road and NYCC and our labor movement standing as one people, calling for this change so that all workers are protected. Yo me siento muy orgullosa de estar aquí esta mañana fuera de nuestra alcaldía para anunciar un proyecto de legislación que es posiblemente uno de los más importantes para el año 2024. Ya en enero, Albany comienza su sesión legislativa y podemos corregir un grave error con nuestro sistema de seguro de desempleo. En este momento, si usted es una persona que trabaja para alguna de las aplicaciones como Uber o DoorDash, algo así, si trabajan como vendedores ambulantes, si trabajan como jornaleros, si limpian casas, si han pagado alguna deuda a la sociedad con su tiempo. Nosotros estamos aquí unidos para pedir que este sea el año que corrijamos el sistema de desempleo y le otorguemos el derecho a cada neoyorquino, sin importar dónde trabaja, sin importar a la familia que mantiene, de poder apoyarlos con un poco de dinero como lo hicimos con el Fondo para los Trabajadores Excluidos ya hace un par de años, que fue un éxito rotundo, pero que no fue suficiente. Fue el mismo pueblo que luchó por ese Fondo de los Trabajadores Excluidos. Fueron 2.1 mil millones de dólares que se fueron en cuestión de semanas. Y es que fue muy poco. Necesitamos una solución permanente, que no nos llegue otra pandemia o otra catástrofe para dejar a la gente por fuera. Porque si con tener papeles o no tener papeles, haber nacido acá en Nueva York, en otro estado o en otro país, sigue siendo neoyorquino que necesita pagar renta, que necesita poder comprar comida, poder ayudarles a sus hijos, poder ir al doctor. Todas estas cosas cuestan plata y nosotros trabajamos mucho para que nos menosprecien nuestra mano de obra. Así que el 2024 tiene que ser el año del programa Puente para el Desempleo, para que cada neoyorquino tenga en dónde caer y no tenga por qué preocuparse el día de mañana. Muchas gracias.
abogado público Jumani Williams.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Permiso, no hablo español, so that's all I got. I apologize. I tried to come in strong. As I mentioned, my name is mi nombre Jumani Williams, el defensor del pueblo. How you doing, workers? Everybody okay? Thank you so much for keeping our city going. I really appreciate it, particularly during the pandemic, doing the jobs that other people didn't want to do to make sure that we can get through. So thank you so much. No worker should be excluded. And I've also said many times, we lost tens of thousands of New Yorkers during this pandemic. And if we go back to doing the things that we did before the pandemic, all of those lives would have been in vain. And we should not go back to the way things were, because the way things were got us to where we are now. And we knew before the pandemic that workers were not getting the respect and the services and the attention that they need. And then we found out how much that can impact us during the pandemic. And thanks to the work of our state representatives, we got something for the workers that had been excluded for such a long time. The workers that we knew were excluded, immigrant workers, people who just returned from being institutionalized, people who were freelancers, people who were independent. When they lost work, there was a gap. And when there's a gap, that's not helpful for anyone in this city. And it's a part of public safety to make sure that people have what they need. And we are talking about people who are working and lose work. And it worked during the pandemic. So what we're saying is now is let's not go back before the pandemic when we were insulting workers, when we weren't providing what they needed. Let's do the thing that we found out worked. Let's extend it. Let's make it bigger so that no worker feels like they're excluded. So that no worker can say, I'm out of a job, I was working, and now I can't buy food. I can't buy gifts. I can't pay my rent. And we have identified the money to take it from. What we know is that it is you, the workers, that keep this city and the state going. What we know is you, the workers, doing the job that people don't want to do, that are the most vulnerable in our society. And what we should be doing as the leaders, as the elected officials, is make sure that we're protecting the most vulnerable who are doing the work to keep us going. And the Excluded Workers Fund, and this fund is part of that. And I just want to say thank you so much. This is the minimum that I can do, is stand here and make sure that we're fighting for all of you, because you are out there working for us. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings. Sí se puede.
Our lead sponsor in the assembly, Assemblymember Canadian Reyes, she can't be here today. So just like thank you to her, and thank you for Senator Jessica Ramos for sponsoring us. So now let's welcome Gerald Gibbs, member of Labor's Local 79.
continuación tenemos a Gerald Gibbs, él es miembro del Local 79. ¿Dónde está el Local 79?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for letting me be here. Hi, my name is Gerald Gibbs. I am here on behalf of 10,000 labor union ready workers in New York City. We're here in support of the unemployment bridge program. This affects every family member in New York City, not just construction workers, vendors, domestic workers. It affects everyone. If you are an excluded worker, there should be no reason why your health insurance or your employment insurance should be up for grabs or it should be in question. These are some of the things that employers were harping upon, and they were targeting upon some of the workers in our respective cities, in our respective counties. And with this program, it gives the language, it gives the legs to stand on, and it gives us that justification factor of showing that these employers are held accountable for their exploitative wages and their unfair labor practices. With this gives us a backbone to have the voice that's needed to be heard around New York City. And with this also gives us the vocabulary in the future bills to show that we will have our voices heard. With that being said, thank you everyone for having me out here. Si se puede. Si se puede.
Ahora tenemos a la campeona de los derechos de trabajadores inmigrantes, la asambleísta Marcela Michaen.
Díselos, Marcela, díselos.
¿Cómo están todos? Un poquito de frío, vamos a juntarnos. Para mí es un orgullo estar aquí con ustedes. Soy asambleísta Marcela Michaen, soy la primera inmigrante peruana en la legislatura estatal. Sabemos que durante generaciones los nuevos inmigrantes han contribuido a la economía, la cultura y la vitalidad de Nueva York. Y hoy no es diferente. Tenemos la oportunidad de invertir en el futuro de nuestro estado, garantizando que todos los trabajadores puedan vivir y trabajar con dignidad. Incluyendo los neoyorquinos más nuevos, New York puede satisfacer las necesidades de todos sus residentes. Ese es el trabajo de nosotros como representantes, proveer por el pueblo. Sabemos que hay personas en posiciones de poder que están decidiendo que esto no es importante para el pueblo. Y es muy importante que sigan saliendo, que sigan alzando sus voces, traigan con sus vecinos, sus amistades, sus familias, porque esa es la forma que vamos a ganar. La gente tiene que saber que esta es una opción para que se junten con nosotros. Y para los que nos dudan, recuerden, hace un par de años, peleamos por los fondos de trabajadores excluidos. 2.1 billones de dólares, como dijo la senadora Ramos, que luchamos. Eso fue algo que nos dijeron repetidamente, es imposible. No va a pasar, no van a conseguir el dinero. Y ustedes comprobaron que sí lo pudimos hacer. Lo imposible es imposible hasta que nosotros garanticemos que se pueda hacer. ¿Estamos juntos? ¡Sí! ¿Estamos juntos? ¡Sí! No somos uno, no somos 100. Somos millones, cuéntanos bien. No somos uno, no somos 100. Somos millones, cuéntanos bien. ¡Hasta la victoria, hermanos y hermanas!
Now a powerful testimony from Raksha, from Excluded Worker from Drum.
Trabajadores excluidos nunca más.
Hi everyone, I hope we all are doing good today. My name is Raksha Gimibe and I'm from Drum, Days is Rising Up and Moving. When the Excluded Workers Fund got approved, I received the fund. I was one of the fortunate ones. However, thousands of other workers didn't get the fund as there were not enough. At Drum, we see how our community members who have been mistreated and harassed and still have to work under extreme work conditions as they are afraid to speak up as there is no safety net to fall onto. We need this program for our workers. During the height of the pandemic, our immigrant workers were the one running the city, be it construction worker, restaurant workers, street vendors, delivery workers. We are the backbone of the city, of this economy. We run this city. Yes. Governor Hochul, we know there is enough money in New York City to support our workers. Stop funding for stadiums. You need to be looking out for the community. Our community does not need a stadium. What it needs is a safety net
for our workers who runs the city, who keeps the city going, so they have something, they have the security when they are out of their jobs. With unemployment insurance being an essential right, workers will feel empowered to stand up and speak about the bad employers, about the bad behaviors, about the work environment, so we can hold these employers accountable for their bad behavior and their actions, so that we can create a safe and healthy work environment for all the workers out there. Yes. Thank you. I am going to do a little chant in Nepali. Dunya, I'm going to say Dunya Mazdur, you guys say Eko. Dunya Mazdur! Eko! Dunya Mazdur! Eko! Dunya Mazdur! Eko! Thank you.
Vamos a recibir con un gran aplauso a nuestra campeona de miembro de Make the Road, Matilda Campoverde.
¿Cómo están mi gente? Bueno, mi nombre es Matilde Campoverde, soy miembro y dirigente de Siendo Camino a Nueva York, del Comité de Trabajadores. Estoy aquí para dar mi testimonio de lo que realmente somos miles, incluyo, de personas desempleadas, incluyendo a muchas personas que no tenemos cómo llevar un sustento. Ustedes no se imaginan. Yo estoy sin trabajo, por eso pido a la gobernadora Katy que imita y haga para hacer crecer esa ley para que nos dé a muchos que estamos aquí de todos los países inmigrantes a obtener un trabajo digno. ¿Es así o no es así? ¡Es así! Eso, un trabajo digno con dignidad para llevar un sustento, un pan. Porque usted sabe que aquí hay que dar. Yo pago mis impuestos, la economía, todo. Pero también necesitamos con un trabajo, porque sin trabajo no tenemos nada. Con trabajo tenemos todos. Gracias, compañeros. ¡A la lucha siempre!
¿Se puede?
Thank you. Lastly, let's hear from Eric Firm, organizer, freelancer, advocate, and member of the Fund Excluded Workers Coalition.
Hi everybody, how's everybody doing? Easy applause. We had a freelance worker who was supposed to share her story and her experience, but like so many people during this time of year, she is sick and taking time off that she is not going to get sick time for, that she will not be compensated for because she is a freelancer and not a full-time employee. So it's not right. So I'm going to share her story on her behalf and then talk a little bit about the digital ad tax and making big tech pay for the unemployment bridge program. So this is her story. Hi everyone, my name is Zoe Beery and I'm with the Freelance Solidarity Project and the National Writers Union. When lockdown arrived in March of 2020, the publications and companies I wrote for immediately eliminated their freelance budgets. I woke up every morning to a canceled contract until they were all gone. I didn't know how I would buy groceries or pay rent. I expected that any solution to the unemployment crisis would leave freelancers behind, as always. But then something strange happened. Unemployment was extended to freelancers. My representatives finally agreed that my loss of work was just as devastating as losing a salary. It's hard to describe the feeling of relief that came with having my value as a worker recognized for the first time in my freelance career. So you can imagine how awful it felt when payments ended and the state abandoned workers like me once again. The pandemic economy is pushing more and more of us into precarity. 40% of Americans freelance in some way in 2022, with 60% of non-freelancers expecting to do so in the future. Denying us, along with so many other members of this coalition, the basic right of unemployment protection is a denial of our current economic reality. We should not have to wait until the next global catastrophe to get the safety net we deserve, like undocumented workers, re-entering workers, and workers in the cash economy. Freelancers should not have to worry about whether losing a job will immediately mean losing everything. We are workers, full stop, and it is time to treat us accordingly. That's Zoe's story, and I would love for everybody to thank her for sharing that. Hopefully she feels better. The other thing that I am here to talk about is the way that we're going to fund the Unemployment Bridge Program. The digital ad tax is a tax only on companies that make over $1 million in revenue from digital ads that are viewed in the state of New York. What does that mean? One, because the tax is only on ads viewed in New York, it means they can't go anywhere. Normally when you raise a tax, these people say, oh, well, I guess we're going to take our business elsewhere. Impossible in this case. Also, it means that they're going to have to pay in for years and years of taking your data, my data, everybody's data, and using it to fund this massive digital advertising economy, and then not paying anything back in, not compensating any of the people who have helped build that industry. These are also companies that have misrepresented their advertising numbers for years, misrepresented their advertising numbers in ways that have led directly to thousands of people being laid off in media, in publishing, because executives and management were trying to chase metrics that they were being given by companies like Google and Facebook that were straight up wrong and being misrepresented. Those thousands and thousands of people who have lost their jobs and been forced into freelancing deserve directly to be supported by those companies. Those companies need to pay their fair share, which they will be doing, paying into the Unemployment Bridge Program. Very excited to be in this fight with all of you. Si se puede.
Tenemos a un último speaker que su nombre es llamar de Rap. ¡Un aplauso!
How y'all doing?
Good.
It is an honor for me to be here. My name is Stanley Bellamy. I'm the New York City Community Organizers for RAP, Releasing Aging People in Prison campaign. I know firsthand the impact this bill will have on excluded workers, specifically formerly incarcerated people, because I am a formerly incarcerated person. When I came home on April 24th, 2023, after serving 37 and a half years, there was no safety net in place for me. I didn't have a retirement plan, nor did I have anything to help me get back on my feet. And we know that ain't right. Say it, it ain't right.
It ain't right.
Like many excluded workers, I was left to fend for myself. Again, there was no safety net. And that ain't right. Say it again.
That ain't right.
It ain't right when we're excluded. Here's a little unknown fact I want to share with you about the Department of Correctional Service. While incarcerated, they don't allow incarcerated people to have bank accounts, nor do they allow us to own stocks and bonds. They tell us we have to get rid of our bank account, we got to sell up our stocks and bonds, and therefore when we come home, we have nothing. There's no safety net in place for us. They give us $40 and a bus ticket, and the $40 come out of our own savings. And that ain't right.
That ain't right.
Instead, these men and women, many of whom have served decades working for pennies on the dollar in prison industries like the metal shop, making license plates, making furniture, are released back into prison, again, without a safety net. Our little 25 cents to 45 cents that we make per hour is not included and doesn't go towards unemployment insurance. We have no insurance, we have no benefits coming home, and that ain't right.
That ain't right.
Keep this in mind as taxpayers, because we all are taxpayers. When we start working, we pay taxes. So as taxpayers, it costs upward of $50,000 per year to incarcerate a single individual. Wow. The unemployment bridge program and unemployment insurance will only cost up to $3,600 to $7,200 per year. So it's common sense. It's really common sense to support a bill like this, because it is a safety net. Not only a safety net, it is public safety. It goes towards public safety. We know when somebody's starving and can't eat. When somebody can't eat, they will do some crazy things to feed themselves. So why wouldn't you support a bill like this that promotes public safety, that lessens crime? When people doesn't have a support network, we all want to eat. We all want to have a place to live. We all want to have a place to live and sleep. So this program, this bill, if passed, will promote public safety and save New Yorkers millions of dollars. Thank you.
Un aplauso, por favor.
Nunca más.
Woo!
What do we want?
Unemployment bridge program.
We want it
Now. Ahora vamos a recibir con un fuerte aplauso al mariachi tapatío. Y hermanos, you move inside.
Okay, so we have Mariachi Tapatío here. Una gran bienvenida. Espacio para que se puedan presentar. So please make space here. The mariachi is going to do a quick song for us, and then they're going to lead us in our march.
¿Cómo están? ¿Con mucho frío? Vamos a cantar, vamos a llenarnos de mucha alegría. Estamos aquí para apoyarlos y estar unidos a través de nuestra música, y más que nada la mejor música del mundo, que es la música de mariachi. Vamos a calentarnos con esto que se llama Chinito Lindo, para que canten con nosotros, claro que sí. Ok, vamos para acá entonces, pensamos por listo entonces. Se vale bailar, se vale aplaudir, se vale cantar.
Un poquito. ¿Se puede mover un poquito para acá? Para así, como que haciendo el círculo. Gracias. Ya. Ahí está.
Viene bajando un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando. De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando. Y dice todos, venga. Ay, 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 basta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. lunar que tienes, cielito lindo, junto a tu boca. No se lo des a nadie, cielito lindo, que a mí me toca. Ese lunar que tienes, cielito lindo, junto a tu boca. No se lo des a nadie, cielito lindo, que a mí me toca. Y venga. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegra, cielito lindo, los corazones. Una vez más y más fuerte. Ay, 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 más fuerte, venga. Canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegra, cielito lindo, los corazones. Oye, pues, ¿qué desayunaron que canta muy bonito? ¿No? ¿O qué se toman? Ah, tamales. Ah, quiero de esos tamales champorrados, claro que sí. A ver, vamos con otro bonito tema para todos ustedes. A ver, vamos con algo que ustedes conocen. A ver, ¿qué canciones quieren escuchar? Algo alegre, algo para cantar. Manche loco. ¿Sí? ¿Nos ha pateado? Ándale, pues. A ver, vamos con eso que se llama El Rey. Vamos con El Rey, me parece perfecto. Vamos con El Rey porque estamos reinando hoy, este día, martes 12 de diciembre, aquí apoyando a la comunidad, los migrantes y toda nuestra gente aquí a través con Make the Road New York. El Rey para todos los reyes y las reinas. ¿Vale?